Cyclone Nation, what better way to kick off the 2025 college football season than cheering on your Cyclones in the Aer Lingus College Football Classic in Dublin, Ireland? Whether it's a quick trip to Dublin for the game, a multi-city adventure throughout the Irish countryside, or premium game day hospitality, there is a package for you. Visit cyclones2ireland.com for information on official travel and hospitality packages. That's Cyclones, the number 2, Ireland.com.
Welcome in to another victory edition of Kickin' It. We're doing a lot of these, which is kind of nice. I'm Jeff Woody. I'm here with Grant Mahoney. Aiden White is behind the computer. I would say behind the boards, but the board is more off to the side for him, so he's not really behind. He's adjacent to the boards. As always, we're brought to you by Kelderman Manufacturing. It is harvest season, so I feel like, Aiden, true or false, do our podcast downloads go up like the last week of September and like the first 2 or 3 weeks of October?
Yeah.
Just because farmers are in combines all the time?
My dad is a farmer, so like they started harvest. We go today actually, and I saw him this week, and he's like, "Listen to all your shows this week." Had plenty of time.
Listen to our shows since June.
Yeah.
That was a friend of mine. His parents were farmers, and I think before harvest, because at this point it's a lot of like GPS guided stuff. But if you need anything like the actual mechanics, and you want anything needs fixed, you need anything customized, Kelderman can do that. But like it's all GPS stuff, and so a lot of it, once you program it right, you just kind of sit there for like 10 hours. So it'll be like, I don't remember who it was. It was like they want to get like a couple Netflix series on an iPad just downloaded. So you're on the farm field, just sitting in a tractor for a combine for 12 straight hours. Get out to pee, get back in, watch again. So God bless all the farmers. Good luck in harvest this year. Iowa State beats Houston in what could be described as a boring ass game. 20-0.
A win's a win.
A win's a win.
But yeah, I for the first probably, I don't know, until we scored that touchdown, I was like, what are we doing?
That it was
3-0 until 2 minutes left in the third quarter. I'm like, this is too close for me. We should be crushing these guys.
It wasn't so much the closeness, because it never felt like Houston was going to do anything.
For me, it's just like, stop dicking around. Like, come on.
They had Houston had in total 11 first downs on the entire game. Not great as far as offense goes. But it was interesting because, so this weekend I had, the normal Channel 5 show that I'll do at 10:30s, that we actually had to pre-record because I had a Drake game that I would have to be at that kicked off right after that was done. So it kicked off at noon. So pre-recorded on Friday. I have had some just work stuff that I was doing up until maybe 2. Then I shot that at 2:15, and then I had to make my call sheet for the game. So I was working most of the weekend, and it was one of the last nice weekends, or who knows how many more nice warm weekends. And Aaron's brother has a pool, and they live out in the Quad Cities, so she just went and it was her and my daughter went out and hung out with her brother and swam and whatever. And so I'm just just watching games, just doing football stuff, and I go from watching or calling the Drake game, which was probably the most exciting game that I have been at in person as a professional, to that instantly watching it with my dad at his house, and he just had ankle surgery, so he's pretty much asleep because he's immobile, had ankle surgery, bored out of his mind. So I go from wildly exciting game to that with my dad more or less sleeping beside me for like 4 hours. It's like, what a juxtaposition of games this was. I mentioned Drake. Aiden, you have a clip because this is Kickin' It, and I would be absolutely remiss if we didn't bring up on Kickin' It excellent special teams play.
42. Dunning's kick is up, and it is good. Dunning has done it.
Now, I got to say, the context for that, Drake was playing San Diego, which is those 2 of the 3 favorites in the PFL, and I know everyone's here for Drake coverage, so I'm giving you 90 seconds, and then we can move on. Aiden's shaking his head.
Didn't Real Mitchell transfer to San Diego?
He was at San Diego. He played. He was there for like 3 years, and I think he was 2 other places. So he was there for, I think he had 7 years of eligibility, the old Van Wilder plan. But San Diego, Drake, and then St. Thomas are like the 3 favorites to win the PFL. Last year, this game went down to a legit Hail Mary with no time left for Drake to win by 5. This game, Drake was up, I think, 27-9. San Diego comes all the way back to take a lead. Drake then drives down, hits a 48-yard game winner.
It was good from 65.
It was good from 65, but if he missed it, they lose by 1 because they were down by 1. So like, as I was, 2 things on this. The first one is, so the kicker, Shane Dunning for Drake, hit a game-winning field goal, was 3 for 3 on field goals, was 100% on extra points, and bombed an 81-yard punt. His heels were on his own 5-yard line. The ball was downed at the opposite 2, which was just, so I have to shout that out. So the first thing is just
light work.
Great kicking play. Second one, as a kicker, is there any difference in your head when if I miss this, we lose, if I make this, we win, versus like if it's 20-20 and you're going out there for a field goal, it's not like you're playing with house money, but if you miss it, you're going to overtime. Versus this situation, they were down by 1. If he makes it, they win by 2. If he misses, they lose by 1. Is there any difference in your brain when you're going out there, or is it just kick the ball?
Was there any difference in my brain?
Yeah.
I didn't think like, if I make this, whatever, I miss it, whatever. And I was going out there to try to win it. When 2011, playing Oklahoma State, Geyer had kind of taken over the kicking role for the majority of the season. I kicked him out of the net. I said, if this comes down to a field goal, I'm gonna win this for us, Zach. He was like, "Well, what?" Sorry.
This is my thing.
Yeah, so I absolutely wanted to win that for us. We didn't need it because you won it for us.
Yep.
And
KO did a lot of that.
Large human.
Yes.
Who looked at KO this weekend though was Jalen Travis.
He's a big boy.
He looked good too.
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
The offensive line, I was gonna get to that. We have a couple sponsors that we'll thank, but don't be a dingus. Book with Aer Lingus. College football kickoff classic. But the offense, I think, is the story, because like the defense was what it has been so far this year. So let's start with the defense because we know that's really good, and then we'll kind of continue to the offense. At this point throughout the season, so at this point, 4 games, they've played 16 quarters. Iowa State is giving up now 49% opposing passing completions. So defensively, they're opposing quarterbacks are completing 49% of their passes. 1 touchdown, 7 interceptions.
One passing touchdown?
1 passing touchdown, 7 interceptions, 3 fumbles recovered. So defense, again, exactly what they needed to do.
Can I put a caveat on that? They're a little asterisks.
Yeah, please do.
I'm not sure Iowa State's really played a competent offense yet.
They haven't played a competent passing game
outside
yet.
of Caleb Johnson. Yeah, I would say North Dakota's probably been the best one, because outside of North Dakota, no team has thrown for over 100 yards on this defense.
Which is, I think that says 2 things.
But that's still impressive, regardless.
It is one of those things that, like, if Shaquille O'Neal was in the paint against...
Oh, God, not the Zach Edey comparison.
No. Which...
Damn it.
We'll see this year.
We're
going to keep an Edey tracker.
Just continue.
Just points and rebounds.
No Edey tracker.
Edey tracker.
No Edey tracker.
Edey tracker. We're going to do it. But if Shaquille O'Neal is in the post against a 6'4" dude, he is going to score, right? Like, that is both Shaquille being the dominant position in that.
You know what I would do
in
high school when we had a guy who was like
kick him in the nuts?
6'10" in our team. If he was, had me in his back and down, I would hold on to his shorts. So when he would jump up, his shorts would come down.
Just pull him down. Yeah, just pants him.
Yeah.
Pants him.
Because then, a lot of times he'd go up and say, "Oh God, my wiener out," and then he would miss the layup. More times than not. Just in practice, we would do it. But it's one of those things,
He doesn't wear underwear.
I'm always trying to get.
It's just out at that point.
Trying to get in his head.
How much do you also grab, like, the compression shorts too? Like, you got a full fistful of garment and undergarment.
I just grab his junk.
Handful of.
Oh, no, I would just get close and get tight, and then he would jump and got your pants.
Oh, got your nose.
You left. you left your shorts.
Anyway, back to this metaphor. So if Shaquille O'Neal's backing down a 6'4" guy, Shaq is going to score because he's better. Grant's going to have water come out his nose. Oh, boy.
Got your nose is perfect. I'm sweating. I got tears.
Oh, man. Because Shaq is better, but also the 6'4" guy isn't in the right position. So, like, I'm trying to bring this back online. Iowa State's defense has been better than the opposing offenses, and the opposing offenses haven't been good. And they've taken advantage of that. They have manifested that advantage. So if you're playing against a lesser quarterback, pick them off 3 times and have them complete 7 passes. They've done that to a lesser quarterback every single game this year, which has been nice because the quarterback competition goes up drastically for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and I would say too, these last two last two quarterbacks, so Houston's and Arkansas State, they're more running quarterbacks, where McNamara just sucks, and he couldn't provide anything, so you couldn't throw. These other two guys couldn't throw because they're mostly running quarterbacks, whereas McNamara can't throw because he's throwing with the wrong arm. But I think that Baylor, they've got Daquan Finn, who is the transfer from Toledo, last year's MAC Player of the Year, but he got like a rib injury versus Utah like a month ago. He's still been out, and Sawyer Robertson has been their quarterback that's played the last couple games. He's been their backup for a couple years. Not bad.
He can sling it a little bit.
He's a little bit of both.
This will definitely be the best quarterback that they've played this year.
I think best offense.
Probably. Yeah, I would say it is.
They're better than their 2-3 record.
Yes, but they know that Aranda is he's not necessarily he's not getting kicked off the plank, but he is walking the plank off the ship.
This game scares me because he's got nothing. I mean, he's fighting for his job.
But also,
why wouldn't he do that last week?
Yeah,
too,
wouldn't you also be doing that? And they were down by a zillion last week at home.
Who'd they play last week?
BYU.
Yeah, and BYU's surprising this year.
They were 5-0 last year, and then they lost, I think, like 6 of their last 7 and finished at 6-6.
I think they're gonna lose the next 4.
Their road gets harder ahead, but like back to Iowa State, this will be the best quarterback and most complete offense that they've played. But defensively, like the secondary, I would say this is the best secondary in the conference. It would be hard for anyone. Iowa State.
Yeah.
It would be hard for me for anyone to argue against Iowa State being the best secondary in the conference, simply because of the depth that they have everywhere. They got 3 really good safeties, and they got subs that are more than capable to keep them in the game. And then I think the 2 coverage corners that have stood out are Tez Williams and Darian Porter. Mm-hmm. And then Miles Purchase is sort of the nickel, kind of grittier when you need some physicality in there. He's going to play up more.
He had a cast last time too.
Yeah,
so I didn't
2 weeks worth. Did you break his hand or something?
Yeah. What do we got? Matt, come on. I know Mauser listens, and we didn't give him like a pep talk.
That's what it was
last game. That's why we played so crappy.
It was.
We'll give him one for Baylor here, but come on, Matt, you got to tell us what's going on. Steve-O is out? What the hell?
Yeah, Steve-O is gone. We're down Steve-O, and Miles has a cast.
Which I think Steve-O is a bigger loss than we think.
Yeah.
Because then we tried that pass to Trip Walsh, who's like the 4th or 5th string tight end.
I think they were running that Maryland eye, and I think they were counting on Houston playing downhill a lot more.
It was like a DN that covered him. It's an impressive play, but
the ball was also behind him, which we'll get to the offense here shortly.
Yeah.
But defensively, like the only thing that is sort of concerning defensively is they a lot of times will be a little bit out of position. So like there's some big runs that have happened. Now, granted, some of them got called back because of a block in the back or a hold or whatever, but there were a few big plays that the young linebackers overcommitted to.
Yeah.
And you have 2 guys that are now on the front side of the running back, and there's one or nobody on the backside. And you start leaking something away from where the play is meant, and you just get this sort of garbagey 50-yard run.
Well, not only that, but if Freeler is very aggressive on the run, he comes up, he flies up on the runs, and so we got beat last year a couple times being too aggressive, and then boop over the top.
Right. Which I think you can trust that the coverage is going to be good enough that you shouldn't have to worry too much about that. But again, Baylor's a different test. But that's the only thing that's I would say just a little bit concerning. That like
the linebackers lost another one.
Yeah,
Klosterman. I don't want to say lost him because his injury looked like he'll probably be out this next game. I don't know what happened. 34, Bo Goodwin. He's a true freshman. I know he did play.
Okay,
he's a linebacker.
That would have been the guy that
good sized
kid
too. 6'3", 225. Small school Iowa. That's what I love about these linebackers. They're from small schools and just big athletes. Just big dudes.
Just tough. But the young linebacker group is learning and getting a lot better. But those kinds of things are the things that if there's mistakes made, it's playing too fast. It's playing too far in front of it. But when they know what's happening and they're able to play downhill, like there are times when Cooper Ebel just stuffed whoever had the ball, whether it's quarterback or
he's getting better every game.
Yeah. And I mean, Dom about killed a guy once again for the 74th time this year.
He's a dude.
The front 7 is getting a lot better. And then I think the secondary you can just count on that they're going to be there. So that was defense. I give it an A to an A plus, somewhere in there as far as grades, just because they did what they needed to do against a lesser opponent.
And I feel like Houston got most of their yards like in garbage time.
Yeah, they
start passing, when our backups were in and the game was already over.
Yeah, there wasn't as much to it. And again, like I was looking at the drive chart just because that's how you kind of put together the hidden yardage. Houston finished drives in Iowa State territory 3 times.
Yeah, never got to the red zone.
3 possessions that they even got past the 50.
That's bad.
So and one of them was in like the middle, the end of the fourth quarter. So it didn't really even do much.
One of them too, they probably got a punt that.
Yeah, the punt that was 19 yards and went right into the.
Yeah.
So I think one of them was a turnover. One was one was an interception. One was the punt, and then another one I think actually was the Jontez Williams interception. I think those 3 were the times they actually got into Iowa State territory and went turnover, punt, turnover.
Well, should we dive into hidden yardage?
Hidden yardage. Aiden, what do you got?
I'm going to go with Iowa State plus 110.
Iowa State plus 129.
Iowa State plus 60.
What?
Iowa State plus 60.
I'm so bad at this
They
game.
started.
Suck it, Grant.
There was.
Can I try again?
They had. All right, Grant.
Iowa State 80.
Nuts.
Almost.
Aiden.
So there was one of the reasons why the game also felt kind of boring. Well, not boring, is Iowa State was backed. They were behind the 8 ball most of the time in the early part of the first half. I think they started on the 7 and the 13 on 2 of their drives. Granted, they did have 2 other drives that started on the Houston 38 and I think the Houston 42 or somewhere in there. So kind of offset it back to be like a neutral game. But there wasn't really a distinct special teams field position advantage. Like 60 yards, that's a good amount. But it just kind of it's 60 more yards that Houston had to gain when they couldn't really gain any yards anyway.
No, they couldn't.
We will have to say about special teams. What happened?
Yeah, Connerty, he is when the operation's been perfect, he's been perfect. It was another shit snap that, no fault to Perkins. He had to twist his body to catch it kind of at his shoulder, and he put it back. He put his spot down where it needed to be, but it was a little close to Connerty, which I think jammed up Connerty, which that's why it would be pushed right. He got jammed up and kind of.
I guess as a golfer, it's sort of like having the tee too far to your back foot, where that's everything's going to spray a little bit to the right.
Oh, sure.
Good enough.
Yeah. So, but that's what happened. He got jammed up on one of those PATs. It was not a great snap either. So, the way that the holder works is Perkins has his left hand down, probably 2 fingers down. That's where Connerty's mark is. So he's taking his 3 steps back, 2 steps over from that. Connerty's expecting the ball to be where Perkins' left hand is. And then Perkins has his right hand up, almost like a talk to the hand type thing, at the snapper's butt, giving the snapper a target to hit. And so the snapper needs to hit that because then Perkins' left hand will come up, catch the ball, put it down where his left hand was. Boom, boom, boom. Perfect operation. And we're too inconsistent right now with our operation.
Yeah, and I think Perkins
doing a hell of a job getting him down though.
Yeah, and it's good that you can get him down, and it's nice and consistent. And one of the other things that's interesting is
one more thing I'll say on that too is a lot of guys too will take, if you're near a hash, a lot of guys will take like pull up a little bit of white grass and put that down on their mark, so that when their hand comes up, they catch the ball, they can see that mark and put it right down to that too. If that makes sense.
Another thing that's interesting about this, which I don't necessarily know how you fix it more than just like practicing a lot of just
Snaps?
getting the snaps right. But they're also, you have to, the snapper has a much harder job too on a short snap than a long snap to me, because the long snapper, you have a bigger range where you can snap it and it'd be reasonably okay. Granted, it's a little farther, but like you can go anywhere between like neck and knees and a foot or 2 on either side of my body, and I can catch it and bring it back to where I'm going to kick it
The punter's
from.
got a little more time to see that if it is offline, I can adjust.
Yeah,
versus you should still, as a punter, you should still move and still catch the ball within the frame of your body. You should never catch it outside your body, even if it is snapped way out. You should still move and catch the ball with the ball in the frame of your body.
Yeah. So in op time for your off time for field goals is what, 1.4?
I don't remember what it is.
Something. I mean, really short.
Yeah.
And it's,
I want to say 1-3, but I'm not sure.
Yes. Snap, hold, kick. That needs to happen right away. And so it's just, if the snap is a little bit off, then it's a lot more magnified on a field goal or a PAT. And the fact that they're rushing hard at your face, and you're kind of, you have your neck down, you're not protected, you don't have as much time, there's not as much space. So the short snap, to me, it's the hardest of the snaps. Like, long snapping is easier than short snapping for my money.
Not only just what you just said too, is that if it is off, if it's not a perfect operation, that is less time that the ball will be down, less time Conrady is able to adjust if he needs to and see the sweet spot of the ball. So you should trust, when you're approaching the ball, you should trust it's going to get down to where it is. And if it's off at all, it's hard to adjust where you're going to be planting, which when he planted, I think I could tell right away he planted. He's like, oh shit, I'm kind of jammed up, which he knew when he planted, spot wasn't hit, but live and learn.
Yeah. And so the other thing
didn't
that's
cost us in this game, but we do got to be better moving forward.
Right. And the interesting thing about it is that, like, most holders are punters because you can practice that during practice. Like, you're not doing anything else. So you're
not pulling a quarterback away from the quarterback drill.
Right. Versus some, like Tony Romo, when Tony Romo was the holder, a lot of that was not like that thing in Seattle when we kind of bobbled it and all that kind of stuff, because Tony's practicing the rest of the game versus
I don't understand why he was a holder, but
right. So you sometimes, every once in a while, you get like a backup, like someone that's really far down the depth chart. Like Kyle Starcevich was a holder for, I think, Cole Netton and Edwin Arceo, maybe just Cole Netton. But either way, because he was a quarterback, and he had enough, like, his knees were bad when he was playing, so he wasn't going to play. So he could be taken out of drills and go practice that during the game or during practice. So that's the thing. Like, it's possible to sharpen up, and I think that it's going to have, at some point, it already has happened, and they've effectively done it. But the back half of the season, those points are going to be much more needed than they are now, and I think it is possible to clean up. They just need to make sure that they do.
For sure. I mean, yeah, those slap dicks are just dicking around all practice. So get a couple more reps in.
Yeah. Before we go,
I say slap dicks with an absolute open heart because I am.
You are.
Yes.
The slap of all slappies.
That's just a club. We're a group of slap dicks. That's what it is.
Before we flip over to the offense, we're going to thank our friends at the Iowa Pork Produce Association. One thing that kind of a staple now, a breakfast food that we always have in our house is just Jimmy Dean breakfast sandwiches.
Oh.
English muffin. Get a Jimmy Dean pork sausage. Slice down, and you can do this with Grazianos too. Slice down a little patty, press it down, flip it on both sides, crack an egg in the frying pan, toast an English muffin, put some butter on there, boom. It is
butter, huh?
Unbelievable.
I had English muffin today too, but I had English muffin, cheddar cheese, sausage patty, egg, mayo.
Ooh, a little mayo on there. Yeah. Breakfast sandwich. Either way, pork sausage, A+. I still maintain the fact that pork sausage is a superior meat to bacon. I maintain that. Now, granted, bacon is more flexible. You can put bacon on and around more things. You can put it with green beans. You can put it on sandwiches. You can put it on, or eat it with eggs. But
potato salad.
Show me potato salad. That's a Family Guy reference. But you can do more with bacon. But given the choice in a breakfast, give me pork sausage.
I gotta be in the mood for that. I'm bacon. I mean, there's no time in the day where if you offer me bacon, I'll say no.
I'm not anti-bacon. I'm just very pro sausage.
Okay.
Thanks to the Iowa Pork Produce Association. Offensively, I think this is I would say the first half of the Arkansas State game and the majority of this game, the passing game was off.
Something looks up with Rocco. He had tape on his arm.
Yeah, kinesio tape on his shoulder, or physio tape, whichever you want to call it. Which
he's been sailing passes this year, which doesn't seem very Rocco-like.
Yeah, which I don't know what's going on there. I think the more time you have to deal with an injury, though, the more you can recognize how to compensate for it. So if it is, let's say it is injured, which it seems like somewhere between tweaked and banged up and whatever. The more time you have with that, the more you realize how much more hip you need to use, or how much more where your delivery is to make it more comfortable, or whatever. So you can figure it out as you go. But the things that are off the most are all very, very, very fixable relatively quickly. It's timing and ball placement are the two things that are just not quite there. So like in the first drive of the Arkansas State game, Rocco was missing wide on a lot of like the quick turnaround routes, which that's if you ever wondered what Brock is the best at in the NFL, it's those. It's the routes where if you watch him throw, he is releasing the ball before the guy even gets into his cut to get out of his cut. Like it's right where it needs to be, and just trusting that like Ayuk or Debo or Kittle, you're getting 17 and a half yards on the sideline right now. Like that's the stuff that he's really good at. It's not see it, throw it. It's anticipate and throw. And Rocco, when he's good, like the throw up the sideline at Iowa, that's an anticipation throw. He hasn't been as anticipatory in the last couple games, which is maybe it's a confidence thing in the shoulder. Maybe it's just he's overthinking it. Maybe whatever. It's easier to fix in the same way as like a shooter, like in basketball. Like you have a couple games where you're a little cold, and all of a sudden you make 3 or 4 free throws in a row, make 2 threes, you're back on. And so that's kind of one of those things that it feels like just the timing is off, and that timing being off makes it so everything else doesn't run right, where you're now in 2nd and 10 instead of 2nd and 3, or you're 3rd and 9 instead of 3rd and 1. And all those little things add up to drive killers, which is why the first half was so bad, is just because I think at one point Rocco was like 6 of 13 passing, and a lot of those weren't coverage things. They were just timing was off or ball placement was off. So I think that's the only thing that is, I wouldn't say necessarily like concerning, but like things that need to get fixed is just timing and ball placement have to get back to where they had been for first couple games of the year and most of last year.
Well, he didn't try to hook it deep at all this game either. So that's why I'm kind of wondering, what's going on. One, probably didn't need it, but two, I feel like we could have hucked it deep every other play. They had one good corner, but their defense wasn't bad. I'm not saying they're bad, but I feel like we could have burned them. But the slow starts gotta stop. Like we have been fortunate that first 4 games haven't really been tested outside of Iowa. Baylor, I think they're good. I mean, they're 2 and 3, but they've had a tough schedule. I think they're good. But we got to, especially with what I expect Jack Trice to be rocking like on Saturday, got to come out hot. If Iowa State can come out and score, 2 touchdowns in their first 3 or 4 possessions and hold Baylor to less than a touchdown, I like our chances.
And that's all details. Like that's one of Matt Campbell's things. Like it's be the best version of yourself, win in the margins. We're a hair off and just focus on the details. Like those are kind of the things. But that's the details that you're talking about. I would say that is the one thing that's that's the most, again, I don't even use the term concerning. They just beat a team on the road by 20, and shut them out. Like Iowa State is fine. Like this is in no way.
We're being very nitpicky.
Extremely.
They haven't played an AAA game across the board yet.
Right.
Which is for their 4-0 they've done, which is fine because they're about to get in the teeth of their schedule. Figure it out now. And once you start playing teams that have a pulse,
you're gonna need to be good on all 3 phases.
Morgantown next week, gonna need to be good.
Yeah, and
tough place to play.
You have that's the thing that I would say it has the most opportunity for improvement. Let's call it that. Is the accuracy and efficiency in the passing game early. And I think that the reason why my take on why the slow starts are a thing is because they want to get a lot of those rhythm throws right away.
Sure.
Because you want to establish to the other team that you can't just sit back and bail off of Higgins and bail off of Bramer and bail off of Knoll and just prevent them from hucking it deep. The first drive of the season scared the shit out of every defensive coordinator that plays Iowa State. So all of those underneath throws are there because if you're Jaden Higgins or if you're Jalen Knoll and you're guarding them and they take 5 hard steps right at your face, based on what they have put on film, the touchdown at Iowa, the first drive against North Dakota, you have to respect that threat. And then as soon as they throw the brakes on, if the ball's right on their outside shoulder or a little bit outside of there, I mean, maybe it's a catch tackle, but there's no way they're not going to respect the fact that they might run by you. So you almost have, if you do it right, you have like an easy 6 or 7 yards almost every time. They've just missed those. And why you're missing those, whether he's too amped up or he's thinking about it too much or he's trying to aim it, like the aim it, don't throw it things.
I get that.
So I think that's the kind of thing where he's just trying to be too perfect. Is just go out there and let it fly. Just relax. Don't feel like you have to aim it. Don't feel like you have to be perfect. 13, 9, 18, whoever you're throwing it to, they're gonna bring it down. Just get it out there.
I think also too, having kind of shorter passes or easier passes early in the game and letting the receivers get a catch. Sometimes a guy needs to see the ball and catch the ball to really be like, okay, like we're good to go. Let's go now. Except if you're Jalen Noel, then you just run deep and just catch it over top of a dude's head and moss him. But especially guys like Benny or like even Alston. I don't think Alston has a reception at this year. Like guys like that, you saw it early on with like Xavier Hutchinson. I don't think Higgins really had it, but Hutchinson kind of had the oopsies. Like he didn't really, kind of had stone hands at first when he early on in his career at Iowa State, because he just needed to catch the ball a few times. And so I think early on in the game, get the guys, the ball, get them confidence right away, and then you can kind of open it up a little bit.
And what that does too is then it opens it up for double moves. It opens it up for more complex route patterns where you're trying to make them think more, because every stem, like depending on the release, but every stem, you shouldn't be able to tell what the receiver's going to do until they do it. Like if you're running a good route, maybe it's an in breaking route, maybe it's out breaking route, maybe it's a vertical, but the first 4 or 5 steps, attack their leverage, make them fear what could happen, and then you break it off. And that's what guys, the Devontae Adams, those high level receivers, that's what they're doing. Is everything is scary because you don't know what it is right when they come off the ball. And that's what Iowa State's able to do, especially with their 2 top wide receivers. And it's just, if I do that and I get a quick underneath route, then everything else, a dig, out routes, a vertical, everything becomes open because it might be a stop. Then stopping your momentum in a full back pedal takes a lot of juice. And so then if there's a little hit, it just, everything opens up. So like Iowa State's not going to not do that. They're going to continue to run those quick early stop routes, those everything's that just get the ball to the wide receivers really, really fast, because it sets up a lot of what they want to do on offense. They've just been off in those. I think that's the reason for the slow starts. I think part of the reason, I would guess, part of the reason for the slow starts also would be like the inverse of what Haycock does on defense. It's not like they're running a vanilla offense, but you don't know exactly how they're going to play you. And so you might be expecting that there's going to be off coverage on Higgins, but maybe they feel like their best option is to not necessarily press, but like play a cover 3 with the cornerback's chest facing inside 2 yards off the ball. And you're like, well, that's not what I was expecting. So then that's where the aiming comes into play, where you're trying to like, well, if against cover 3, I have to put it a little bit higher and a little bit, and put it perfect, and then it's a little bit too much or a little bit late or a little whatever. So those are fixable in the same way that the snaps to the holder are fixable. It's just practice, reps, and confidence. Just getting out of your head and going to do the thing.
I was like overly confident going in this game too, and then it was an interesting like the way that the game was called again, because we didn't tell Mauser what to do. I just feel like they were trying to be too cute, just, I don't know. Maybe they're trying new things because they weren't really like that threatened with Houston, which is not a good game plan if that is what happened. But I don't know. I just kind of feel like the whole game plan is kind of like trying to be too cute. I will say though that I've been impressed by the running backs, and I love the rotation. I mean, all 3 guys bring something different, and they are, all of them are electric and dynamic in their own sense. But it's good because they're all staying healthy. We need guys to be healthy throughout the season because the Big 12 is a grind, and we're gonna, like I said, about to go into the teeth of our schedule, where it's guys are gonna get beat up.
Yeah, and the other thing. So the one thing that I would say that was like needs to get, or an opportunity for improvement, is the accuracy and the details in your quick passing game. Anything down the field, they've actually been pretty good. Like the slow starts thing, other than the 1 interception to Arkansas State. Down the field, Iowa State has been solid. It's the underneath quick stuff that's been a hair off. The other thing that is an opportunity for improvement, I think they recognized, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe they're going to keep just rotating a zillion offensive linemen in, but I think in this game, they recognize the fact they ain't going to score on us. Like first 1 to 7 wins. And that, when you do that, you can play. I think they played 3 left guards. They played 61, Hasert, and what's his name?
Trevor Bohr.
So they played 3 left guards. They played 2 left tackles. Neal and Jalen Travis both played. Hufford, to be seen what his health is, but Boniface is a more than capable backup.
I thought I was calling him Jim.
Jimmy is,
and then Brendan Black, dog.
Brendan Black there, and then on the right side with Tyler Miller.
But I saw Tyler Morrow got in too.
So they're playing a bazillion different offensive linemen. And I think that's going to be sort of like in basketball in the non-conference, you're playing like 9, 10, 11 dudes. By the time you get to the meat of the middle of your conference season towards tournament play, you start to tighten that down to like 9, 8, 7 guys that you know exactly what you're going to get. I'm guessing they're doing that with the offensive line too, of finding like defensively and the safeties. They do this all the time in the secondary. Like when they were saying like, Bo Frailer's not on the field. It's because they do that all the time. Like they
needs a breather sometimes.
He needs a breather. Just let him get off the field. But they'll do that where they'll substitute somebody in, but then they get inside the 30. All right, Bo, go back in there. Take whoever out. Cam Smith, I think, is the guy who's in. Go get Cam. Put the starters back in the critical moment. But giving a breather where they need to, they still do. They do that all the time. Like critical drives, you're going to see like Jamison Patton in there instead of Malik Verdun.
Marcus Neal, true freshman, he's played in 4 games and he's looked fine. Like you haven't heard his name called, which has been fine because he hasn't gotten burned. He's looked fine in there.
Exactly. So, but like there's going to be times when the secondary, they have backups in just because that's what they do. I think they're still going to do some of that with the offensive line. I just feel like they are trying to find what is our best 5 when we need a drive. There's 5 minutes to play in the first half. We're going to get the ball, start of the second half. We're up by 3. We need any type of points here. We got the ball in the minus 30. We have to play screw you football and run the ball and eat all 5 minutes of this clock up. So either we finish with a field goal or a touchdown. Who's on the field during that time? I think they're still trying to find, or they at least were trying to find that through the Houston game because they played so many different offensive line combinations. And I don't know if it's, I guess the only one that I didn't like in that was, and it might have just been a bad game. I think 61 had a rough game.
Dylan Barrett, yeah.
The kid from Wisconsin.
I hope that he's not playing tied butthole. He's able to be loose and still just be himself. Like he's not, feeling Bohr or Hazard over his shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, just play loose. Just play your game.
Right. But so I feel like Travis is better than Neal, but Neal is a capable player.
Yep.
So you'll still see James Neal on the field.
Travis he's the best offensive lineman.
He's the best offense. I would say Hufford would be, as far as executing, I think Hufford is your best offensive lineman. Travis would be number 2 and Black would be number 3. Though that would be where I would say your best 3 are. Ceiling wise, Travis's ceiling is way the highest. But I'm guessing like between Hazard and Bohr, you said is the other one. Between those other 2 is going to be who your left guard is, and there's your 5. Between Travis, one of those 2, Hufford, Black, Miller. And my guess is that through the middle part of the Houston game, with significant snaps, with pressure on the line, that it's not like you're up by 45 against Arkansas State, go get some snaps. It's 3-0 on a road game in conference. Execute.
But I also appreciate that we can go, too deep at every position because offensive linemen get rolled up
all the time.
They get dinged. And so like that's the one thing I have really loved about the way that Campbell and the staff have approached this season is that they're rotating a lot of guys in. And in order to do that and be successful, you have to have a program that's got good culture and no egos.
Yeah.
Because, Abu could be pouting. He could be pouting on the sideline because he's not getting every handoff. He's not. He's being a great teammate. And when he gets his chance, takes it to the house. So that's what I can really appreciate, And even just looking at the punters, like Perkins is still our guy for the deep ones, and Gilbert is our shorter guy. Like that's going to keep Perkins' average up, not hitting those short ones. And then Gilbert's doing the punts and the kickoffs, and I think Shackford probably could still come in too and do some kickoffs too. But I've really enjoyed that we're 4-0, but 2, the guys are staying fresh. I think they're being very smart in how they approach the season and the longevity of the season, and hoping that we're going to have a long, hopefully successful season.
Yeah.
Need guys healthy.
Yeah. And I think that's got to be calculated. They've always done that, but it feels like they've done that more this year.
Deep this year though.
Because maximally, if you look on the high end, you have 12 regular season games. Let's say you play a conference championship game. That's 13.
We will.
Which would theoretically then get you a bye for the first round of the playoffs. So let's say you don't get a bye. You lose in the conference championship. So just saying like the highest number of games.
We won't.
So you play your 13th conference championship. 14 would be your first round of the playoff, which is 12 teams.
We'll play Penn State.
Which then your second round of the playoff.
Play Alabama.
And then your third round of the playoff would be the semifinal.
Gonna beat Georgia.
Which would be 16 games now? And your 17th game would be a national title.
Versus Ohio State.
In order to get there, you have to be healthy to get there. And whether or not you're playing 17 games or 15 games, or you get the bye or you win the comp, whatever it is, you're going to have to play a lot of games this year. So I feel like they're doing that more intentionally, of rotating guys out a lot and not just doing it. But again, you still have to find who are the 5 offensive linemen that need to be on the field. Critical drive, who's out there? Who's our best 5? What's our best combination of 5 to get out there on the field? And I feel like they've got it narrowed down mostly to who it's going to be.
We can talk about, playing games 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 later on, but for right now, let's just focus on beating Baylor. They're good. I mean, Baylor's good. Their record's 2-3.
Yep.
They're not bad. They've played some tough teams and looked kind of lackadaisical at times, but I'm going to die on the hill. They're a good team. Even if Iowa State wins 49-0, I'm still going to say Baylor's a good team. Unless Arena gets fired, then I'm going to say, okay, they're a shit team.
That's it. Just executive decision.
This could be the nail in the coffin, though.
Honestly, depending on how this goes. So I think
we talked about it in our group text that I'm glad that BYU only beat them by a touchdown.
Yeah, it's like the best outcome for the.
If BYU beat them 35-3, Aranda's gone. And then that's terrible.
And then you get the dead cat bounce.
Yes, because then they have whoever is the interim head coach, which we've seen so often in football and basketball, that interim head coach, he may go by the same script, may do his own thing.
But 1 or 2 games, you get all the motivation of because I think the guys like Dave Aranda. As a person, they like him. And so if they fire a guy that you really like, then it's like, man, we're going to go out and win one for
win one for the Gipper.
Win one for the Gipper. So you get that bounce of energy and the unpredictability of what's going to be coming, because the one that comes to mind is Colorado when we played in 2010, I think, at Colorado. They just fired, I think, Dan Hawkins, I think was the one right before. They just fired Dan Hawkins the week before, and they were terrible. And then the next week, they ran a reverse on one of the kick returns. They ran a double pass. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, there's a guy laying down. It didn't work, but there's a guy laying down on the one on the 10-yard line because they wore white. They wore white jerseys.
They wore white jerseys with gold pants, I think.
Yeah, I think. Which why would they have worn white at home? But I think they did because the guy, for whatever reason, they blended in with the number.
But either I do remember there was one they returned almost all the way back, or they did return one all the way back.
They did. They took one back, but that was in 2010 though. I think that might have been. I think it was 2010 because I hit one that was 9 deep, thinking, "Oh, this is great," and the guy took it back for a touchdown. What are you doing?
I was on that coverage team.
Kneel that down. It's your fault.
I'm sorry.
Kneel that down, man.
But that's the kind of thing you're not getting. So for Iowa State's perspective, great outcome for BYU to beat Baylor, but Baylor makes it respectable.
And now BYU's confidence is all-time high, and they're about to come crashing down, I think.
And then Iowa State gets a Baylor team, which still has a sort of lame duck-ish coach.
Yeah, they've got a knife in them. We're going to twist that thing.
So that feels like it's a big opportunity for Iowa State this week. Defensively,
if Iowa State wins big, I might go to size afterwards. And if I see Aranda there, I'll buy him a drink.
You know what, buddy? You've had a good one.
Hey,
you know what? Come here, bud. I'll get you a 32 this time.
Let me get you a Busch Light here, Dave.
I want to shake your hand.
But yeah, I don't know. Defensively, Baylor's not very good. They have missed a lot of assignments, just being in the wrong spot, doing the wrong thing.
Not very disciplined.
Not very disciplined.
Coach be fired.
Coach be fired after this. After this.
At halftime.
Not before.
At halftime would be cool.
Before. That would be weird. Who's the AD at Baylor now? Is it still Ken Starr?
I don't know. I don't know who anybody's AD is except for
Jamie Pollard.
Yeah, Jamie Pollard. The only one that matters. Best one in the country.
True. But is it Aiden? Yeah.
I think it's Mac Rhodes, isn't it?
Paul Rhodes?
Mac Rhodes.
Mac Rhodes.
It's been there since 2016.
That sounds right.
I think Ken Starr's at Liberty now. He was the one that was overseeing the Art Briles situation.
And you think he survived that?
That is a great point.
It would make sense for him to be at Liberty and then to bring on the coach they have now.
Yeah.
They got Paterno now? Or they have Hugh Freeze?
Not Paterno's. Oh, Jay Paterno. I think you're talking about Joe, but Joe's been dead for a while.
No, not Patino.
Yeah, I was going to say, Joe Paterno's been dead for several years.
Rest in peace, Joe. Yeah.
Patino?
That's basketball.
That's basketball.
Who am I thinking of? Who's the guy that was riding with chicks on the back?
Petrino. and he's the offensive coordinator at Arkansas.
Jeb Bush,
At
whatever.
Arkansas.
Jeb Bush.
Jeb Bush, the coach at Arizona.
I should really do my research before I come on here and start spitting stuff I don't know what I'm talking about. Who's Liberty's coach?
It's not Hugh Freeze because Hugh Freeze is at Ole Miss now.
I thought it was Hugh Freeze.
Hugh Freeze now he's at Auburn. Hugh Freeze is at Auburn.
I think he was.
At Liberty.
Okay,
That's a real digression. Good thing we have computers.
Talk about digression though. I got a question for you. This is
if it's anything involving a butthole, I don't want to know because okay. I'm just gonna preface this though. I was in the booth at Drake Stadium and Aiden sends a text of the
beefy 5-layer burrito,
Bill Snyder or whatever it is, the burner, and he just sends a link to Twitter, and I don't know what it is.
And the picture pops up.
No, it didn't. So I click on it, and the link was dead because I don't have Twitter app on my phone. I just to stay off it, Jenna. So it opened on Safari. It just didn't open because I think it filtered out what was going to be there. And all of a sudden he sends a screenshot of it and says, "You're welcome." So over my shoulder, as I have our spotter and I have Admire to my left who's calling the game, and there's just a butthole with a burrito in it. I'm like, well, this is here.
Show Admire.
Hey, Michael,
check this out.
Look. So if it's anything to do with buttholes, I don't want any part of it.
Close, but not quite. So we had this squirrel in our backyard.
That burrito was fully in there.
I don't know how long it is, but it was halfway.
How does it have the surface tension to actually?
He froze it.
Oh my god!
What? Like you weren't following the whole saga?
Yeah, he put it in the freezer.
Oh man, it's like an easy bake oven.
I can't imagine that thing went up. He'd have to just smush that,
Just
could you imagine
I don't want to get into the logistics of
the
this.
destruction when you pull that thing away? Okay, anyways, back to the squirrel in my backyard. So I don't know if squirrels like attack people or not, but we got this squirrel that we've lived in our house for a little over a year, and we hear this squirrel, and we go outside. He's chirping sometimes. This squirrel for the last year, whenever we're out there, if he's out there, if our dog's out there, he's chirping at us. So you know what? I'm out there playing with my dog, and I hear this squirrel on the power line behind me. I'm okay, mother effer, you're going down. I see him up on the line. I start tossing sticks at him. I'm like, talk shit. Keep talking shit. Toss sticks at him. He runs along the power line and gets like face to face with me. And this guy looks like he's about to jump. But let me backtrack for a second. This is how I don't know if this squirrel's okay or not. I haven't looked at squirrel genitalia very often, but this squirrel was walking along the line. He had huge black nuts. Like not.
Why do you think he's so mad?
Not
Grant?
in his mouth. But I'm like, what is going? Is that normal?
I don't know.
But then he was walking sideways, and then he put all four legs, look at me, and kind of swinging his butt. I'm like, this squirrel is about to jump at me.
He's just staring, dead, eyeball to eyeball.
Yeah, he did, and I'm probably
nuts and all.
I'm probably 15 feet from him. I found a stick that's probably 1 inch in diameter by 6 inches, and just kind of tossing at him, and it would bounce next to him, and he wouldn't really move. I'm like, okay, this guy means business. And so my dog's off doing whatever, and then I see a squirrel go on the line, come down the tree as if he's coming towards me. I'm like, okay, Winston, come on, come here, Winston, got a squirrel for you. Nothing happened from there, but I just want to know, is there a chance that this squirrel might attack me?
I feel like they will. I mean, I don't know if it's like
because this bastard he chirps every time I'm outside, and it's only him, and we've got like 6 or 7 like large trees, and he kind of rotates. He goes just around our house.
I wonder if there's like a nest or something like that's around there, like where he lives is like under your deck or something. That like
we don't have a deck; it's cement.
But I mean, is there a tree, perhaps a fence post that he lives in?
Maybe a tree. We've got large trees.
Or maybe he's just really mad because he's got big swollen acorns.
Yeah, I mean, these things were big and like black. I'm like,
that's why he's so mad. Maybe he's asking for help. Maybe he's just saying, "Help me."
We've had a couple.
You threw a stick at him.
And you threw a stick at him. He's begging for help.
I threw multiple sticks at him.
He's begging for help.
No, he's talking shit. So I wanted to know, because if I come in later on and tell you that I hit the squirrel or killed him, I'll let you know. But for right now, this little bastard's up there talking shit every time I step outside.
Get him.
So if I'm missing a finger, also too, squirrels their chomp is so hard they can bite through the nut of a walnut.
Yeah,
which is difficult. So I imagine if they get a hold of my finger, top knuckle, see ya.
Yeah, no, I mean, it wouldn't gnaw it off. I would also,
what?
It wouldn't gnaw your finger off.
You don't think so?
No.
I don't think it could get its mouth around your finger.
It would bite it, but it would nip your finger. It wouldn't chew it off.
I'll find out and let you know.
Stick your finger. Hey, hey, Steve.
I'm gonna get it right next to him. You come down here and stay at my face.
It's like your face in cursive.
What'd you just say?
So I'll say it to your face in cursive.
Yeah. That's all I've got though. My squirrel story for you.
No more buttholes.
No.
Can we just also, can we end that? Can we end that like
But
that
that
the
same
thing
guy,
on Twitter?
So that same guy, he posted that with a paper bag over his head.
Okay.
And then he posted during the Alabama Georgia game when Georgia was down 28-0. If Georgia come back and win this, I'll reveal my face. And then they came back and win it, and he tweeted again. Oh fuck. Alabama didn't win it, but he almost revealed his face. Which I don't care who you are, but I'm sure people know you.
Yeah. Well, that's I hope no one knows him from that, like the profile. Oh, look, that's Tyler.
Yeah, I mean,
I recognize that
you can
butthole.
see you can see his undies down around his ankles. So if you can identify someone by their underwear, you know, it depending on how close you are.
I would
with your
just like
friends.
that. I would just like that to be a trend that stops.
Yes. If
I feel like
so and so happens, I will do something extreme.
In and around the butt. Just don't. Nope. Done. That's enough.
Yeah, you don't need the clout. Like, just stay. Just stop.
Florida State guy. He
Florida State's bad.
he started it, and
What do you do?
He cursed the program is what he did.
he did.
What do you do though? I don't recall.
Well, he allegedly was going to eat poop,
I do remember that.
Yep.
but then he did not.
He did not.
Deleted his Twitter, and Florida State hasn't won since. I don't know.
Yeah. Now they're saying that DJ Uigalungolele might have like a problem to his hand, and the fans are like, okay,
Cool.
good.
Good.
You want to do a prediction?
Sure. This one I feel like is gonna be more back and forth early than what had the past few games have been. Obviously, Baylor is substantially better than Houston, but the professor's gambit that Jared and I patented, not officially but unofficially, at halftime, make the adjustment basically after 3 or 4 drives. What are you doing to attack our defense? We're going to take away your favorite thing to do to our defense and the second favorite, and now you have to do your 3rd, 4th, 5th favorite thing that you came into your game plan with, and almost every team can't. So it feels like it'll be close-ish through the first quarter and a half, and then it sort of just slowly kind of splits, and it feels like then Iowa State kind of runs away and hides with it by the end of the 4th quarter. Give me Cyclones 34-22 with some weird scoring things like a extra point missed, and then you make a field goal type thing.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say like a 24-19 Iowa State.
That close?
Yeah, I do. I think it's been that close. If Iowa State's still without Steve-O, I think it's a bigger loss than we think. Half our linebacking room's dead. So who's going to play linebacker? I don't know. We have guys. Just stay healthy, please. Defense has not been tested yet. Like I think they will be for this game. And obviously our defense has only given up 7.3 points a game or something, but I think this will be the biggest test. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go with.
How many points did Iowa score in the second half? Because it was 13-0 at half, and it finished
19-20.
1916 or 1917, right?
Iowa State won 19-20.
Oh, 2019. So yeah, they scored 6 points in the second half. So that's 6 points
2 field goals.
in the second half of Iowa.
Or no, they went for 2 and missed it.
Yeah. But either way, they scored 6 points in the second half of Iowa. So that's 2 quarters. Then Arkansas State scored 7 points. We're at 13 through 6 quarters. Then Houston has 0 through another 10 quarters. So Iowa State's given up 13 points in the last 10 quarters.
This will be the best offense that they've played yet. I'm holding to that.
Yeah. It's not the most complete team. Iowa is still the best team that Baylor has, or excuse me, that Iowa State's played. But this is definitely going to be the best offense. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see Iowa State's offense will have to carry a little bit more water than they have in weeks past. But I do expect Iowa State to win this one. But you can't be surprised when Baylor makes plays.
Yep.
They have good players. I think they returned a punt for a touchdown and a kick return for a touchdown already this season. Like they've got dudes. So they're going to make plays here and there. And you can't be mad if they hit a 65-yard touchdown. Like stuff like that can happen, but I do expect Iowa State to win.
2 things I will say too. They have a guy, Richard Reese, who killed us his freshman year 2 years ago.
When he's a true freshman.
Yeah, and he's still on the team, but isn't playing. Like last year, he had like 300 rushing yards. Just like not good. Just fell off the face of the earth. Also, their punter leads the country in average. So
Bombs.
Yeah, so that's someone to look for. I don't know what his hang time is like, but if he gets any kind of piss missiles, we could look for a return, which special teams is huge in this game. So last I checked, there are still tickets. So if you have not bought a ticket, buy one. It's important to sell this game out. It's close to it. Wear white.
Wear white.
Wear white. They're giving out pom-poms. There's going to be a drone show, which will be sweet. And then also some fireworks.
And this is Big Fox, right?
Yep. Big Fox is on Fox.
I think it's Big Fox.
Yeah, 6:30. 6?
6:30.
6:30. Yeah, it is. Okay. So there will be some representatives too from the Aer Lingus Classic there as well.
CyclonesToIreland.com.
Yep. So, yeah. You got anything else?
If you made it to this point in the show, you are a loyal listener.
Yes.
You have survived a lot.
Yes.
And for that, we thank you.
Yes. Thank you to our loyal listeners. And as always, remember, adopt. Don't shop.